Doing, Christian friends? Welcome. My name is Ebony, and I am on again tonight for another one of my pop-up Bible studies. And so with that, of course, what I'm doing is I'm just popping on, and I'm just giving a word. So, and I just have to remain intentional, and I have to remain to, get the word out. So if I'm feeling something that has just kind of just been stirring up in my spirit that I needed to get out, and it might just be I need to get it out so it can come back to me in motivation for myself. Maybe somebody need to hear it, and honestly, maybe that somebody just might need to be me. I might come back around one day and look at my videos, watch my replay, and like, I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I said it, so it can just come back to me, so it can recycle. But anyway, so thank you all for those who will join. Again, this is my pop-up Bible study where I just want to just kind of pop on in and just give a word, instead of me just waiting around and just saying, well, should I do it? Should I? No, well, Ebony, you got to be intentional about the message because again, that was or is your purpose. And if it means pleasing the Lord, then you just got to do it. Speaking is something that, I've always kind of been reluctant to do. But at the end of the day, I know that I have a voice, and there's things that I wanted to say, want to get out. And hey, when I was living to please the world and doing all of the secular things in the world, like performing, and when I used to rap and get on that stage, I used to do that with no problem, right? Especially when I had me and my cousins, we was on the stage doing our thing, and we would perform in the clubs with no problem. So now that I'm living to please the Lord, and just turning my life around, and again just carefully determining what pleases God, I want to be able to, and this is what I have to ask the Lord sometimes, but I want to be able to have that same courage and that same get up and that same zeal that I had when I was, doing the secular performances, and I should be able to do the same thing when it comes to God. But sometimes I get a little nervous, like, oh gosh, should I do this? Is anybody going to watch? Is anybody going to listen? Is it going to encourage anybody? What is this going to do? Is it going to help anything? But at the end of the day, if it is what pleases the Lord, because the Lord, this is what he wants, the word needs to get out there. And if I could encourage just one, then, again, if that's what pleases the Lord, then I've done my part. And so regardless, I need to put aside the worry and the doubt. So I'm just going to do it. I may be doubting right now, or maybe a little nervous or anxious, but I'm gonna still do it anyway. Do it in the anxiousness. So even sometimes, people, friends out there, Christian friends, you might be afraid to do something, or you might have a word, something you want to get out there and speak, something is compelling you to try to reach someone or speak to someone, and you're afraid to do it. And hey, like that saying goes, do it anyway. And all things are possible through Christ Jesus who strengthens you. So again, I have to remember that, and even just for myself. So anyway, this pop-up Bible study is coming from the encouragement of from the book of Joshua about discipline, and what is your foundation of your household, and when it comes to you, and for those out there who have a family, who have kids, even if you're a single mother, single father, or if you're a family, a two-parent household, and you have the kids in your household, what is your foundation on in your household? How are you training your kids? So this pop-up Bible study is just to encourage parents out there like myself, single or together with someone, how important it is to discipline your kids. And so my Bible study is going to culminate talking about the word that comes from Joshua, the book of Joshua. I was talking to my girls about how important it is to read the Bible, because I believe that the Bible is the main source, the main key source to life. We have other sources in life, the other keys in life, like, the keys to a successful business, the keys to a successful life, the keys to a successful marriage. Well, I was trying to encourage my daughter that, look, the key, a successful key in life is the Bible, and learning the Bible and understanding it. So, I was just kind of giving her that whole rundown. As much as I encourage you to go to school and read all the time, and, when you get home, go find a book and go read that book, and, make sure you're listening to your teacher in school, be obedient in class, because whatever they're teaching you need to learn it, and, do this and do that. And well, if I can send my kids off to school to encourage them to be taught by a teacher, teaching them what the curriculum of the school thinks that the kids ought to learn, if I can approve of that, because by me sending my child to school every day, that means I approve of them to learn whatever it is that the school thinks that a kid should learn. If I can approve of that, and let them digest what the world is teaching them. And I expect for them to trust their teacher, because of course, whatever their teacher is teaching them nowadays, we're woke now, and we're starting to see that a lot of the things that these kids are being taught in school, well, a lot of it is not true. Many of the real information is omitted, right? But yet and still, we still send our kids to school every day to learn and trust the books that what they're giving to the kids, right? So I was telling my daughter, like, if I can approve of you to learn that, then I need to approve of you the real book of life that you need to learn from, and the real source, which is the Bible. And so I was just trying to explain that to her, like, that's going to be important. And you're not too young to open up that Bible and learn. Yes, some of the things in the book may be a bit confusing for a child. And it doesn't hold back its words at all. It doesn't sugarcoat nothing. To me, the Bible is not biased at all. It tells it all. So that's one way to me why I feel like it's still a truthful word to really try to grow and learn from, because it's not like it's just tell you one part of life or just certain things because they want to make it look good so that you can follow and learn from the Bible. But if it's also giving you the tough side of the story, the sad part of the story, the bad parts, all the mistakes and the things that the same people in the Bible are making, then, why would they need to fabricate that if it wasn't some truth in that? Why would they need to fabricate the stuff that we look at in the Bible? We're like, wow, this really happened? Lord, did you really allow this to happen? And did you really forgive these people for these things? If all of that is still in that same word, if it can tell you from the negative to the positive, why wouldn't it be something that you wouldn't be able to trust or know, like, okay, there's got to be something real? Because most things, if it's trying to persuade you, it's going to just probably give you all of the good parts of it, right? All the pros, but it leaves out the cons, right? Like how the world does. It try to tell you all the elaborate or the good things or the good side of things, but it never tells you the bad things, right? But no, the Bible doesn't do that. But sure, right now it may be a little complicated for you, but that's my part as a parent, where I break it down for you and teach you, what you should know. Training you, disciplining you, showing you, encouraging you, and teaching you the word. But yeah, you're not too young to try to learn for yourself, because these kids, they're receptive. They catch on to everything. You think those kids don't understand you. You thinking, but just because they're young, or no, she don't need to know this and know that, know this and know that. But trust me, they're watching, they're listening, and they get it. These kids are clever these days. I saw and knew and heard things that my parents or adults did, and I knew very well what was going on. So these kids, they're not too young to learn. If I had to, in conclusion of it all, you better train your kids and you better teach your kids what you want them to know, and don't allow the world to do it. Because I promise you, if you miss out on that and you feel like, well, they don't need to know these things, or it's pointless right now, trust me, the world will teach your kids. And once the world gets a hold of them, sometimes it's hard for them to believe what it is that you want them to believe once the world has already gotten a hold of them. It's real when you're out there trying to do good and trying to teach right, trying to do what's right, trying to teach the truth. You're going to have people that's going to reject it, people that's going to mock you, because there's good and then there's evil. So the negative is still going to come regardless. I have to really dig deep into making sure that I discipline and train my kids. So what are you doing, parents, as far as your household? We want our household to have a strong foundation, because again, if we allow media and the world to get to them, then they're going to mold our kids. Okay, we want to be able to plant that seed in them. Foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child. So foolishness is going to happen. Your kids are going to make mistakes. They're going to do some things. But how are you going to train them and discipline them and plant that seed in them? What are you going to plant in them? And so I strongly encourage my daughter that, the Bible is a key source. So when that time comes, I want, just like how I tell you, you need to come home and read for an hour. So if I can encourage her to read books that somebody else wrote, that the truth that they might want you to know, putting it in your kid's head, then you can also train them to understand it about the Bible. This is 2022, Christian friends. We see how the world is transitioning and what's happening, right? And we see as parents, we've made these mistakes when we were kids, and now the things that we look back that our parents might have been upset at us about, or the things we did that we got away with, or we thought we got away with, but the Lord sees everything. But the things we thought we got away with our parents or with family, whatever, being sneaky, being teenagers, and And, now we're older and we got kids now. So we look at it and it's like, man, I get it now. I get it why my mom did this. I get it why my mom said that. I get it why my grandmother tried to teach me this. I get it why I saw the things that I saw in my parents and in my grandparents, because we get it now. So how are you now going to take that and say, okay, let me train my kids? And so it's important for us to not be afraid to discipline your kids, okay? Because it says, foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child, but the strong rod of discipline will drive it out. There were a few times, in being a parent that, I would kind of doubt disciplining my child or doubt saying something that's going to be firm, to stand firm against something that they might have done that I wasn't pleased about and I know was wrong. And then there has been times where we're just like, well, maybe I shouldn't say nothing, or maybe it ain't worth saying anything because, it may not do anything, or how is it going to make my kid feel if I say this or say that? But no, you have to stand firm, just like how you have to stand firm against Satan when when the enemy is prowling around like a roaring lion seeking to devour, and you have to stand firm in your faith. You have to do the same thing with your authority in your household for your kids. And the reason why this whole pop-up Bible study is more so guided towards, disciplining your children, because, they are our future. We're now at that age, like, yes, we still got to grow and learn too, because we're still a child of God, but we still have a responsibility here on earth, and that's to our kids, right? So we have an obligation to them. So we need to be obligated to disciplining them and letting them understand the source and what our foundation is on. And so, because we want to plant that seed, because again, so when the world still comes at them, and when the world still try to penetrate them with manipulation and deception and lies and trying to paint this pretty picture of what the world is going to paint to them, we want to be able to have that seed already planted in our kids. And we have to start young. So at the end of the day, I need to learn how to stand firm and discipline when discipline is needed. Don't hold back or wait to discipline. Do it when it needs to be done. Have a word to say, encourage them, positive reinforcement, whatever kind of way it is that you need to train them. However you train, make sure it's firm and it's on a firm foundation of God and Christ and the truth, speaking the truth. Be transparent. Let them know why that what they're doing is wrong, because you done been through it before. You done seen it. You done been there. You done done that. So you got to learn how to stand firm and let them know why, you're disciplining them in that, because the road that they're taking can lead to destruction. Let them know, tell them your story. A lot of parents try to maybe hide or omit what could have happened or what did happen in their life, maybe for embarrassment, or maybe they just don't want to know. But be transparent with your kids and tell them your story in your life and what you done been through. Tell them how many times you done slipped up, how many times you done failed. Be an example. Use yourself an example so that maybe they can have more trust in you and open up to you and learn to say, my mom, she's making sense. I understand her. I get it. I don't have to be afraid to come to her when I need to, or when she is scolding me. I understand it. Something that you can't take away, and that's being transparent with them. That goes a long way. But yeah, don't be afraid to discipline your kids. Punish them with the rod and they will not die. Punish them with the rod and you save them from death. You want to be able to save your kid's life. And yes, they're going to grow up and they're going to still follow their own path. They still have their own journeys to follow, right? Just like how you still had your own journey to follow. But I bet you for those who were trained by your parents, trained by your grandparents, or your grandparents were strong in your life, strong presence in your life, always telling you this or disciplining you there. But when you had gotten older, even though you might have still fell astray, or you made your mistakes, or, you fell short a few times, you might have abandoned and abandoned the Lord and abandoned, just living to please God. But something stirred back up in your heart that turned you back around. And you, even though you fell away from it, but it came back to you. And now you're back now, right? Now you're back on track because you remembered. Like, I remember what my mom said. I remember why my grandmother did that. I remember seeing that in that household. So you have to stand firm in that, and knowing that, again, don't be afraid to discipline your kids, because a part of who they're going to become is a big part of how you train them. And like I said, sure, yes, we can't control everything about their life, but if you can control the seed that you're planting in them, that's going to mean a lot as they're getting older. And we got to not be afraid to discipline our kids. I mean, it's really going to mean a lot. We have to teach them. We have to encourage them. And again, the Bible, that is the key source. It's some things in that Bible that when I was living to please the world, I see it now. I see it in the Bible now because I read it more now. And the same exact things that I was doing when I was out there living to please the world, when I didn't open not one page for myself, to just start learning and drawing closer to God for myself. Now I'm seeing all the things that I was doing and how I was living, and just it basically telling me all about myself. And that Bible don't even know my name. And I never did even once open that Bible at the time like that. Sure, I did go to church. Sure, my grandfather, he was a pastor, and my grandmother and grandfather were devoted Christians. So I saw that in them. But I didn't take the time for myself to draw near to God when I was old enough to do that for myself. But the same things that I was doing out there in the world, this Bible was written way before I was even thought about being born. But now that I return back to that Bible, I'm seeing all of the things and the ways that I lived in that Bible that was written years before I was even born. So to me, that's truth enough to stand firm on that, to use that as my foundation and plant that seed to my kids. So all of that matters. And I just encourage that because, again, the Bible is just a key source to life. The Bible is there to encourage. The Bible is there to inspire. Those books in there are inspired by God, by people who have experienced God's presence, who've experienced God himself. These stories are in here that talks about that. So the Bible is here for us to encourage, to inspire, and to teach with this word. And we have to use this tool. We have to use it because this tool is going to help us to be successful spiritually. And that's what's going to help us in life. So, and it doesn't mean that we're not going to still face trials and tribulations. We still may possibly face calamity. Our kids are still going to mess up. Our kids are still going to make mistakes just like we did. But when we plant that right seed in them, it's just going to help them when those moments come. They're going to remember. Because if they're young enough to go to school now and they're just learning all of these worldly things, right? All of these things some things that my kids and my daughter, my youngest, my 11-year-old comes back and tells me that she's being told at school, and the things that's coming in and out of her ear gates. I'm just like, oh gosh. But then I have to look back and say, well, when I was a kid, I was doing some foolish things my darn self. If we know that that's possible and that's going to happen, then we got to be prepared for it. We got to prepare them for it. And preparing them doesn't mean lying to them or trying to hide anything either. It means being honest with them about how the world is so that they can be ready for it or just be a little more prepared for it. But we got to enforce it. We have to instill our foundation has to be right. And it starts with our disciplining our kids and training them, train a child in the way that they should go. And then when they're old, they will not turn from it. They will not depart from it. That means that you're training them, you're showing them, you're teaching them, you're encouraging them, you're instilling in them that confidence and the key things in that word that's going to teach them, that's going to help them to stand firm in the times when the rough times come. And how to act when the good things come. So that way, when they do get blessings, when the blessings do come, they know how to act with that. They know how to thank God because then they'll know that they didn't do that themselves. The Lord gave them the strength and the energy to get those things done and to be successful. But if we didn't train them to know that God is the one that gives them the vitals to get it done, they're going to grow up and be boastful and arrogant, thinking that they did it all themselves. Okay, and so then on the flip side, when the rough times do come, if we don't help them or tell them that, okay, Satan is real and that Satan is prowling around like a roaring lion and he's going to sap you. He's going to try to sap you for whatever you got. So there's going to be warfare. Because at the end of the day, we fight not against flesh and blood, but against the evil rulers of the darkness, the evil spirits in the heavenly places. The authorities and the principalities in that dark world. All of that is real, even though we don't see it, but it's very real. It's just as real as that tree that you saw when you went outside. It's just as real as the air that you breathe. That dark world, that unseen world that we don't see is just as real as what we see right in front of us. So if we don't teach them that, then it's going to be hard for them to go through the rough times. They're going to fall even harder, like how I did when I was oblivious. Even though, again, like I said, I was raised in the church. But because I didn't draw near to God and I didn't get that true connection or that true, I didn't let my ear gates open up and accept in and digest the word and the understanding of the word. When I went through those hard times and I went through that phase of depression and anxiety, when I went through those rejection stages in life, I took all of that hard and I fell really hard for a while. And that was even at the age that I am now. So imagine what's going to happen with your kids when they become adults, so they get older and they go through those rough times. And if you don't train them now, train them up in the way that you want them to go, they ain't going to know how to handle the hard times. And then they're not going to handle the blessings and the good things that the Lord is going to bring. They ain't going to handle that right. So we want them to handle all things in the best way possible. So we got to plant that seed. So I'm just encouraging you all to just make sure that you discipline your kids. And I mean, again, this word is for myself because I have to make sure that I'm more firm and standing firm on that, meaning I don't need to be afraid at no point to discipline my kids. Because for one, I had you, so you're going to hear what I got to say. But yeah, don't be afraid to discipline your kids. Don't wait. Don't hold off on it. I know it's going to hurt sometimes when you have to discipline your kid or fuss or however you choose to do that. Whoop they behind. But I mean, you know, ain't got to be physical. But I mean, if you give a strong rod, meaning you can just give them examples. You can positively reinforce. You can discipline them. You can punish them. Reprimand them, you know, in a true way and giving them the honesty in it. Because you're doing it because it's coming from love. Just like how the Lord can discipline you. Because he disciplines those he loves. So the same thing that the Lord would do for us because we're his children. We got to do the same thing for our kids because we're who they see. So we have to be an example. We have to be an example like Christ and discipline them as well. Just like the Lord would discipline us when we disobeyed him. When I disobeyed the Lord. And again, I was out there living in sin. And I was being my sinful self, conforming to the world. The Lord disciplined me, and I'm glad he did. And then we got to accept discipline. We got to teach our kids why they have to accept discipline. Only a foolish person that does not like discipline or wouldn't like instruction. So we got to really teach them how important it is to be instructed or to be disciplined and explain to them why. So we got to plant that seed, Christian friends. So, you know, I leave off with, you know, again, I told you that it was coming from the book of Joshua, chapter 1. And I'm going to start from verse 6 where it said, you know, be strong and courageous. This is the Lord talking to Joshua because at that point Moses had already died. So Joshua now is going to be the one to carry them over into the promised land. So the Lord has now given Joshua pass the baton off to him. So look, Joshua, now I need you to lead the Israelites over to the promised land. Okay, so this is God talking to Joshua saying, be strong and courageous, for you are the one who will lead these people to possess all the land I swore to their ancestors I will give them. Be very strong and courageous. I'm sorry, be strong and very courageous. He said that twice. He said that a couple of times to Joshua, like be strong and very courageous. So that means the Lord telling him that because he know that it's tough, right? The Lord knows because again, all of that, they went through the whole 400 years of slavery that they went through. The Lord knew all of that was going to happen. So, you know, he's telling them to be courageous for a reason because things can happen that can battle that's a battle, you know, like again the spiritual battle. Then you got the people out there who are, you know, who are fighting and their flesh is conquering them. So you have that battle of people who are disobedient, right? So the Lord is telling him like, look, be courageous because I am with you. All right. And he says, be careful to obey all the instructions Moses gave you. Do not deviate from them, turning either to the right or to the left. Then you will be successful in everything you do. So let me stop right there real quick. So just like us, when we are trying to train our kids and when we're trying to grow and learn, turn back to God, right? Because we fell off, right? We've made our mistakes. We have cried over the way that we once were. We have shedded tears for the way that we once were. We are now ashamed of the way that we used to live. So now we're a different person now. We're a new self now. So we're still training. We're still learning too. But for our kids, right? I'm just saying, parents, this is to your kids. This word is real. This word is true. And you telling them why it's true and explaining them to them like this stuff that's in this Bible. I've experienced these things in my life. This Bible is real to me. You know what I'm saying? And so I need you to understand that. So you're telling them like, you know, be courageous in this life, to still be strong and be courageous in what you're going through and standing firm. And the instructions. And again, the Bible is the instruction book, right? The Bible is our instruction book. So you're telling them, look, to be careful to obey all of the instructions. Be careful to obey God and obey his commands and what he tried to teach us and what he's trying to teach us. Because then is when you will be successful in all that you do. And I agree with that, because when I fell off and I was just living to please the world, I didn't get nothing out of that. The success I was chasing, I didn't get no success out of that. I got shame out of that. Even though it's all in the Lord's timing, the Lord is going to give me what he wants me to have. But that's my success right there, in understanding that I'm living to please the Lord now. That I understand that it is his will and not mine. And my perspective is in the right place. So that's my success, because I understand it now. I'm not living to please people. I'm not living to please the world now. I'm not looking for approval from the world anymore. So that success that the world was trying to teach, I ain't talking about that success. So we're trying to teach our kids that if you don't deviate from the instruction in this Bible, the truth in this Bible, and obeying God because he is our commander, obey him, and then is when you will be successful at all that you do. Okay? And don't deviate to the right or the left. That means don't worry about what you see the world doing and what you seeing people doing over here, your peers doing over there for the kids, what you seeing your peers doing. Don't be afraid to do right. If you know if it feels right and you know it's right in your spirit, your parents done taught you this, and this is what is right, and this is what the Lord expects of you, and this is how you should go about this and do that. Don't deviate to the right or the left because you see your friends doing something else, or you see the world or somebody else over there doing something else. They look like they're successful, so I want to conform to that. Or I wanted this in my life, and it just seemed like I need to live that way to get it. Or you want to live like the Joneses because your neighbors, they got this, they look like they have it all, so now you want to try to do everything you can to look like them. Right? So you're deviating from it. You're deviating from the instruction of the word and what the word tried to tell you. Of how to be successful. You're deviating because you're now trusting the world more. You now think that the world has more to offer you. So it says don't deviate from the instruction. So kids, don't deviate from what your parents are trying to tell you. And parents, don't deviate from the word, from knowing that this is the source. Because it says here, when you then you will be successful in everything you do. Study this book. It says, and he was telling Joshua, it goes on to say that study this book of instruction continually. Meditate on it day and night, so you will be sure to obey everything written in it. Only then will you prosper and succeed in all that you do. Meditate. Pray. That means meditate on the word. When parents, even for myself, when I'm sitting here learning this word and I'm just digging into prayer, and just really just thinking every day now, it's like, and I'm so thankful that the Lord has changed the way that I think. He's changed me to a way where I know a difference in myself. I'm literally, when I wake up, I'm like, okay, what I need to do, Lord, guide my day. Father, speak to my spirit, minister to my spirit. So what is it that I need to do? Is it something that I should be saying? Am I in the head and in the right direction? Lord, just guide my day. Just thinking in myself, like whatever choices that I'm making sure that it's a choice that I know that it would not disappoint God. So that's the way that, that you are carefully determining what pleases the Lord when you're living that every day you are making choices that, okay, is this what God would want from me? And will this please God? And so it says, meditate on the word day and night continually. So when you feel in your heart it's time for you to gain that knowledge and gaining that wisdom and knowledge from this word, and you're understanding the instructions in this word, and you're understanding now what God expects of you, meditate on that day and night. That means think about it. Keep your eyes stayed on thee. Meaning constantly thinking and just, just digesting, that whole thought, and digesting the word and just meditating on it, thinking about it constantly. And it says, only then will you prosper and succeed at all that you do. So that means that there's only way to succeed in life. Because again, the things that we're chasing after, our flesh is chasing after, that's not going to matter because it's all temporary. So we have to chase after what's going to feed our spirit and give us salvation for that permanent life. And I'm not saying that we got to ignore what's right in front of us, because again, we got our kids. We still got to live. It's still okay to Ask God to allow you to enjoy life and see many happy days, right? And it's okay to ask for that. It is okay to want to enjoy life and see many happy days. It is okay to want to, through wisdom, your days can be many and years can be added to your life. So you do want that wisdom and knowledge that's going to give you a long life and make you prosper. So you do want to choose God, though. You want to choose God and choose him and choose blessings. Choose life and choose blessings that come from the Lord. Okay, so you do want that, so you can have that. And so because you can, because it said it in the word, there's a key way for this to happen, for you to prosper and succeed. And so this is for your kids, parents, if you want them to succeed, if you want them to do better than you did, because you messed up so much. So yeah, now you're willing to use yourself as an example and be transparent to your kids now, because you want them to do better than you did. Because really, that's really our motto, parents, right? The true parents, right? That understand, like, man, I messed up so much. I done made so much mistakes. I have a child now, I have kids now that I don't want them to go down that same path I did. So I need them to know, I need to give them the key things that it's going to take to not make the same mistakes that I did. And one of those key things is, again, instruction from God and obeying God. And just, again, knowing that God is the center of our life. So that's one way how you start. But yeah, we don't want our kids to go down the same path that we did. We want to make their road a little simpler and easier, right? So we want to teach them that only then, that means only when you meditate and you follow the instructions of the Lord, that means obey God, serve God in your house, serving God, obeying him and obeying his instructions that's in the word, because that's where it gives you the instructions is in the word, right? So you have to obey that. And when you meditate on that and you obey that and obey God, only then will you prosper and succeed in all that you do. So if you want to be prosperous and successful, and like I said, and not just success of the world, right? Not secular success. We're talking about spiritual success with God, and knowing that you can stand firm in confidence, knowing that if the Lord comes today or tomorrow, you have turned over that new leaf and you have taught your kids, you have encouraged others, you have been a light to others. You have did the best that you can to share your gifts and serve others. You can stand firm in knowing that if the Lord comes for you today or tomorrow and it's your time, you can rest well with knowing that you're going to see the Lord permanently. So but only then, if you want to prosper and succeed, you got to obey, and you got to teach your kids to do that. And that's, again, that comes with disciplining them and training them in the way that you want them to go. You let them know that as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So when all those other people out there, those outsiders, right, let them not get it, but you want your kids to get it. You want your kids to be woke. So you're going to train them in the right way. I don't care what nobody else household is doing. I don't care what nobody else teaching you, what your friends done told you in school. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So if you up here in my household, this is our foundation. This is the foundation, and that's what we have to stand firm on, and letting them know that. And I'm just so thankful that I saw that in my grandparents, and I get it now. Everything that I saw that, I might not have paid much attention to, but I just get it now. I get it. And I'm just so thankful that I saw it, because now I just understand now. Those gospel songs that I once it went in one ear and out the other. Now when I hear it, I get it now. It sounds different to me now when I hear it. I just get it, and I'm just so thankful that I saw that. And my grandfather used to say that all the time. And when I used to say it, when I would go to his church services, again, at the time, I wasn't really paying attention. I wasn't drawing near to God. I was just there, right? And I would say it. I would still say it, because that was my grandfather's benediction every time before he released everyone from church. He had everyone stand up and say, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. But when I was saying that, I wasn't thinking. I was oblivious at the time. But now I get it. And I'm just so thankful that I can remember that much about my grandparents. Like I said, I didn't have the connection that I wish I would have had, having those stories that I could say, like, me and my grandmother, we talk all the time. She tell me this and tell me that. And like I said, yeah, I was raised around my grandmother, but I didn't have that true connection like some people may have. Like my kids, they have a true connection with my parents. My parents basically helping me. They help me raise my kids. They're a part of them, and they give them the wisdom when I can't give it to them. My parents are right there to give it to them. And I just kind of wish that I had that same type of connection with my grandparents. But what I do remember, and I'm just glad that I do remember this, is that I remember them as devoted Christians. Grandma, I get it. I get it now. I get it, Granddaddy. I get it. My wise grandparents that understood it and served, who was serving God. So I just wanted to leave you with that, Christian friends. And just saying thank you all for stopping in on my pop-up Bible study. There will be more. I just had to get that word out to let you know that when you're training your kids and what is your foundation, your household, and your foundation is for your household, you let your kids in the world know that as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So I didn't get a chance to talk about this particular godly expression tee. The one that is this here, it says, I know the Prince of Peace. And that kind of resonates a little bit with my pop-up Bible study, but I still just wanted to kind of show you all this particular one. Again, do you know the Prince of Peace? He's a wonderful counselor, mighty God, Prince of Peace. When you're down and out and need someone to talk to, he's a wonderful counselor. Yes, he is. If you keep your mind stayed on thee, he will give you perfect peace. The Prince of Peace, and that's God. So, these shirts here are available also on my website. Again, don't be discouraged by the website, but you can check it out. All my godly expression tees. Check out all of my recent replays and videos that talked about all of my other godly expression tees. And I also gave the biblical inspiration behind each of my godly expressions. And you can follow me on Instagram at Christian Adorn. You can also follow me on my Facebook business page, which is Christian.a.apparel. You can also follow me on my YouTube channel, which is Godly Models TV. And so, yeah, godly expression here. I know the Prince of Peace. Do you? All right, Christian friends. So I do want to thank you all for joining me. I will see you all again at my next Bible study pop-up. Take care.